Living between Wednesdays, just trying to get by to the next fix. Living between Wednesdays, prefer the comics over the Netflix. Living between.
What's up, folks? I'm your host Konrad on Wednesday Night Reviews, and I'm joined today by Matt McGrath, the creator of ID-10T. And today we're going to talk about their newest issue, ID-10T version 2.0. Matt, thanks for coming on the show today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
It is always a pleasure. So, just like we started last time, because there might be folks who's seeing this who didn't get to see our last interview, which I'll put links down below too. Who is Matt McGrath?
The way you phrase that, so like philosophical, and like existential, like, am I? I am a writer. Writer is my day job as well. Writer is my nighttime job. So yeah, I do content marketing during the day and I write comics at night. Yeah, so just a writer living in Toronto with my kids, my pets, my partner. ID-10T Error is the first kind of comic that I've created. So last year we launched a Kickstarter for the first issue, which at that time it was just supposed to be a standalone thing, but now it's the first issue of several. So yeah, that was released digitally, and now I'm doing issue 2, and at the same time going to be doing a print version of issue 1. So that's kind of my baby. And other publishing, I've been published by in Gothic Tales of Haunted Futures, by Renegade Arts Entertainment, and had some other short comics published here and there, called Into Being, a zine that was published a couple of years back. And
Nice.
yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Perfect. So definitely comics. This is not your first time by any means into the world of comics or in publishing, which is awesome. So ID-10T Error is the first issue. It's a bit of body horror, a little bit, but more so psychological horror, with kind of a comedy spin on it, which focused on a robot who was built in a man's basement, and this man kind of took his frustrations out on it. What can you tell us about the robot? Sort of do a quick recap to sort of maybe cover some of the nuances that I might have missed, just for the folks out there.
Yeah, so kind of a bird's eye view of the first issue without going into any spoiler territory. ID-10T Error, the first one, is about a man named Bradley. So he has created this AI robot, the most like sophisticated AI that's kind of ever been created at this point. Somebody who's fully conscious of themselves and aware and can feel pain. And the reason that he does this is not to kind of further advances in AI or mankind or make the world a better place. He's just created this thing just so he can immediately kill it and torture it. So yeah, that's where we start off, and what he wasn't expecting, but he should have. When you create something with consciousness and a will to live, it's probably not going to want to just sit there and be destroyed. So
yeah,
the whole issue is just kind of a cat and mouse between Bradley and the AI, where the AI is able to escape, then Bradley gets the upper hand. So it's kind of a give and take. So it's Bradley's trying to kill the AI is trying to escape, and the two kind of collide at the end in this big kind of fight. And again, without spoiling too much, the AI manages to escape. So that's where it ends, with Bradley defeated and the AI hopping on a bus with his friend Burpo and getting the hell out of there, away from Bradley.
Beautiful. Then I think that's a great spot to start right there. So from the preview pages that you've sent me, as mentioned, the AI escapes and gets on a bus. So how much time has passed between the previous issue and this new issue coming out?
20 seconds, maybe, something like that. It picks up right where it leaves off. There's some what do you call it, flashbacks in the second issue. So kind of go in between present and past. But
Okay.
yeah, the main story kind of picks off immediately after the AI escapes, and Bradley kind of realizes like, uh-oh, this isn't good.
Yep.
Yeah, there's with Bradley, he, you know, his creation, the thing that he wanted to kill, escapes. So there's still that revenge. He wants to get out and find it, but there's also a secret about the AI that he doesn't want anybody to let get out, or anybody to find out. And if the secret is kind of exposed, then, you know, Bradley's entire world will crumble and his life will be utterly destroyed, even though he didn't have much of a great life to begin with. But what little he has will be utterly destroyed. So there's that. There's the revenge angle, and also the self-preservation that he has to find this thing before it's too late.
Love it. So within the preview pages, within the first couple pages, actually, we see the robot, or the AI. We don't actually see it. We see the bus it is on, and people complaining about the smell and stuff. And when finally the robot gets the hint and he gets off the bus, he's got like a backpack kind of thing, and smoke's coming out of it. And I find in fiction, science fiction, comics, whatever, even though it's fiction, we do kind of like to understand how a thing works, right? Things like The Expanse, which are extremely realistic sci-fi that have explanations, tend to appeal to people. So I was curious, how does the AI's body work?
Good question. Just to preface this, I did zero research on AI, on robotics before I did this. It just, you know,
Fair, yeah.
You know, it's a robot. You figure it out. You figure it out.
It works.
You don't need to know the details. But yeah, so in the first issue, there's a whole sequence where the AI manages to escape his restraints and take the chair, and he's like, yeah, I'm free now. It's time to get out of here. And he goes running, and then he finds out that there's a power cord attached to him, and it gets ripped out of the socket, and he collapses. So, you know, he's able to escape, but he's kind of restrained by technology. Like he needs a power source that he's kind of connected to the wall. So later on in the story, he manages to find like a generator, a portable generator in Bradley's basement, something you'd use for like camping or something. Mm-hmm. And so he kind of rigs that up to himself, and he's able to plug himself into this generator and get it going. And that's how he's able to become mobile and actually escape. So yeah, that's what we see in issue 2. This generator is still chugging along. Yeah. So okay. That's all the fumes are you know, probably not great to have that in a closed space. So that's why the AI gets kicked off, and yeah, that'll also perhaps create problems later on in the issue because it runs on fuel, and you know, probably wasn't filled up properly when he found it. So
love it. What I did want to ask too, within the creative process, when did you start writing the second issue, like pen to paper writing, and when did the idea come up? Because I believe in our last interview, already you were kind of hinting at the world expanding, so clearly you felt something was there. How far after this project, or the first issue, was finished, did pen hit paper for project 2?
Yeah, it's no real kind of straight answer to that. I think after, for the longest time, this idea was just going to be like the one self-contained issue, and it was going to end kind of open-ended, but also very final, where the AI manages to break free from Bradley and kind of goes off, and you know, he sees the Burpo land poster, which is kind of like, I don't know, this kind of representation of like a utopia or something to go forward to. But yeah, when I did the Kickstarter for the first issue, and I was talking to like people more about it and getting them the idea, and you know, people are asking me like, is there anything coming next? And yeah, just ideas kind of started percolating then, like I wonder what does happen next after the AI kind of goes off into the bus, because he's probably not going to get very far, given that he's, you know, giving off these noxious fumes, and he I don't know, he he's basically a newborn baby, so he's not going to know where to go. Yeah, so kind of from there, I just very slowly started to kind of piece together ideas. Honestly, the idea for it came just from like a gag that you kind of see in the preview pages, that there's actually somebody else in the house the entire time, with the AI and Bradley in the first issue, which was Bradley's Uncle Oliver, who was kind of stashed upstairs. And when we find him, he's, you know, unconscious, passed out, almost asphyxiated from these fumes. So I don't know, I thought it'd be funny to Bradley to run upstairs, almost like you think he's concerned about his uncle, but he's not. He's just needs a ride to like get this AI. So yeah, from that one gag, it just kind of slowly, a story kind of expanded from there. And then I was thinking about flashback scenes, like what happened before this, how did Bradley kind of get started on this whole journey. And yeah, so honestly, like just going out on walks with my dog and my family, over the course of like weeks after the Kickstarter finally finished. The story just kind of happened from there, kind of got formed in my mind. And then within a few months after that, it's when I finally committed, you know, pen to paper and started writing it out. So yeah, that's kind of the whole process, the kind of weird, messy process that went through getting to issue 2.
Nothing wrong with that. Very organic process by the sounds of it. I did want to touch, because you mentioned Bradley's Uncle Oliver. What other new characters might we be introduced to, given that the second issue is out in the world of Toronto, whereas the first was contained basically in Bradley's basement. So what other kind of weird characters might we run into with this one?
There's Uncle Oliver, which we see in the preview. Yeah, that's kind of like the mission statement with doing issue number 2, or this like second part of the story. Was issue 1 was so self-contained, just 3 characters in one space. I wanted the next part to really up the stakes and expand the world, so it was always going to be much, much bigger. So lots of like little characters come in, like people that appear on one page that kind of come and go. But in terms of a main cast, Uncle Oliver, a friend from Bradley's past, Ash, so you see her very, very briefly. Okay. I don't want to give spoilers, but yeah, if you read it, you know she's in a recording that's kind of pivotal to the plot. So we see her again. We might see another Burpo doll come into play. And yeah, that's our core cast for issue 2.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. Now, one thing I did want to ask, because it is such a different thing, right? You've gone from like almost a Saw style controlled little area to a wider world. Mechanically, from a story perspective, it's very different now. You can have a lot of free range of motion. Yet in the preview pages that I've read from what you sent my way, it still looks really good, and the personality is there. That awkward intensity, the, you know, alien in a new world kind of feeling for the robot somehow is still existing. What were the challenges in going from this little contained box to a whole world when it came to writing, and how did you maintain that feeling?
Honestly, it wasn't that challenging. I don't know. When you get these, when you have these, just you start off with these extremely odd, weird characters that are just like personality-wise, like already at an 11, especially Bradley. It's pretty easy to kind of, you know, I don't know, create comedy from that, or kind of up the stakes. Just his reaction, he never has a normal reaction to anything. It's always, you know, I don't know, anger or disgust or something like that. So it was pretty easy to kind of place these characters into the world and have weird things happen to them because they're just weird people. In terms of creating the feeling of the first issue, I think, you know, having the same creative team is a huge help. So everybody's back. Otávio on arts, Kay on colors, and Frank is back on letters. So yeah, the feel of the first issue is still very much there, just like in terms of style. yeah, I guess, yeah. Yeah, just the zaniness is just really easy to kind of preserve because, like I said, these people are super weird.
Yes, yeah. And like you said, Bradley's definitely cranked up to 11 on how he feels and emotes, which I love. And I actually, you know what? I never, I don't think I appreciated it as well as I did in the first issue. But from the pages you've sent, the lettering that is on this is fantastic. Like I have, I believe it's page 13 pulled up. And just the shape of like the word bubbles, for instance, how they're not perfect little bubbles, they're really edged out and aggressive looking, for when Bradley is Bradleying, I'll just call it. Much appreciated. So I'm so glad that the creative team could come back and get to play with these characters.
You know, for the next Kickstarter I'm doing for the issue 2, I kind of, for the updates, I kind of want to do a little bit more than just being like, hey, we've got to 70%, woohoo, yay. I want to kind of make like a newsletter out of it, like a community thing. So one of the ideas I had was doing like kind of creator interviews, like very short things. So that's definitely something I want to kind of ask Frank about, because I know when he first did this several years ago, like he spent a lot of time kind of creating the world balloons, and they were very purposeful. Like the fact that he didn't just use those little bubbles, that he made these jagged things. So I don't really know why, but you know, I'm going to ask him and we'll find out. Yeah, see what his thinking was there.
Please do, yeah, no, because I find it odd, and I'm not sure, because let me quickly blip through here. Yeah, like it's just, yeah, all of the word bubbles in ID-10T Error 2.0 are like, it's really cool. Yeah. Wow, words just left my brain. Okay, next question. As you mentioned, it's a Kickstarter, so people will be able to support the book, get copies of it. You alluded that you're going to do a print run of issue 1. Give me the spiel. What's going on with Kickstarter? When can people get it? What can they expect? The whole thing.
Okay, so the Kickstarter is launching on April 9. Let's take that again. The Kickstarter is launching on April 19th. And the goal is going to be 7,500 Canadian. So, like, I don't know what that is in USD. I don't know, like $120 or something. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so for the first issue, for the first Kickstarter, I did a digital only release, and it was kind of purposeful. Like, this was my first time ever going solo on a comic project. I didn't know like how to prep files for printing. I'd never dealt with that. Plus, we were like in the middle of a pandemic. Had pretty much just begun, so you know, I really wanted to play it safe. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do a digital version. All I have to worry about is getting the art done and then send it out to backers, and that's it. Yeah. Yeah, at the same time, you know, I really like my physical media, as you can see, all my comics there.
Yeah.
Big fan. So yeah, I really wanted to do a print version. So oops, I gotta back up. Some time has passed. You know, I did a lot of research about printing and got a lot of recommendations. So yeah, comfortable going back and doing a print issue for 1, plus doing the printing for issue 2. So yeah, what else is there to say? So there's some tiers, so you can get digital versions of the comics, you can get print versions of the comics. We're also doing some original page tiers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so for issue 1, so for issue 2, Otávio did the artwork all digitally, but for issue 1, it was mostly physical. So as you can see, some nice pages here.
Oh, wow.
Purchase on the Kickstarter. So there's, I think, 10 left. Otávio is also going to be doing a commission tier. And we're also doing a print. Baird, the colorist for the book, is also mainly an illustrator as well. She did an illustration of Bradley and the AI in Burpo. For
Oh,
this.
cool.
So, yeah, so everybody who backs at the tier of getting both issues, the bundled issues, will get a free print, which is cool. And yeah, I think that's it. That's my spiel.
Okay. Do you know yet what your pricing will be for like digital, print, stuff like that?
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah. For digital, it'll be like last time, so $7 Canadian for a digital version of the book.
Nice. Yeah.
For print, it'll be $15 for a 36-page book. Plus, I didn't mention this, the comic is actually not your standard comic size, your American comic size. It's actually going to be printed on A5 size, so it'll be a big, nice kind of European.
Oh.
So yeah, if you take out a piece of printing paper that you'd use, for anything, that's going to be that big. So yeah,
Nice.
it'll look nice. Yeah, it'll be nice and big.
I'm curious, what made you want to go with that instead of the standard 8.5 by 11? Because it's a bit of a chunkier comic. I like that.
Yeah.
What made you want to go that way?
Poor planning, just not thinking
Okay.
things through. Yeah, like I said, this was always supposed to be a digital book. So for issue 1, like later on when I mentioned to Otávio, like, hey, let's do a print for this, and he's like, oh yeah, okay, cool, but this isn't your normal American standard size, because we were just doing a digital. I didn't think it mattered what paper I used, so I just
Okay.
I was like, oh, okay, okay, cool, yeah. So I think it'll be a happy accident. Like it wasn't ever intended to be that way, but yeah, it'll look cool. I think that the bigger size will really look awesome. I kind of wish comics came in various sizes, like a little bit bigger than just your standard Marvel, DC, Image, whatever, what have you. Yeah, so you can get a better. I don't know. It looks nicer.
You know what? I agree. Like there is obviously like the classic comic book size is classic. We know it. I can show you that, and you can go, oh, that's a comic book, cool.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, like when DC started doing their Dark Label stuff or Black Label, and it was like the magazine size was really fat and tall,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and it pops. So I definitely think with ID-10T Error, how zany and weird it is, I think having that extra little pop of size, that's actually I think it'll work out really well.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Nice.
Very cool.
Indeed. Ooh. So, because you exposed this creature to Toronto, I was curious if you're gonna be able to play with, or if you do play with, I suppose the issue is probably written by now, how it interacts with the world, and also what is the function of Burpo in this issue, in issue 2?
Sure. Burpo is, what is he? He's kind of like the AI's, I don't know, main goal, main focus, because Burpo in issue 2 is broken, slaughtered, basically cut in half with a katana by Bradley. So what he wants is to somehow find a way to save his friend. So in those preview pages, you see they're not lettered, but he ends up coming across an ad for this thing called Burpo Land.
Yeah.
Like a kind of virtual reality Pokemon Go type exhibit that's happening at the CNE. So he gets the idea of like, okay, Burpo, we're just ones and zeros, right? So if we can get to this exhibit and upload our consciousness into this kind of virtual reality Burpo Land, then we can just live there, and we'll finally be able to escape Bradley. We don't need our bodies anymore. We can just live in this cyberspace, and we'll be totally safe from Bradley. So that's like his mission to get to Burpo Land to save himself and his friend.
That is so cool. So I really enjoy then definitely, it sounds like you're leaning into the sci-fi element of this, and the AI thought. It actually almost reminds me of the original Ghost in the Shell, where for those of you out here, real quick recap. Ghost in the Shell has to do with people in android bodies where they have human brains, but because of the relationship that humanity gets with the internet and technology, it kind of gets blurry as per what is humanity. And at the end of that series, or the movie rather, which spoilers I guess, but the movie's like, I don't know, 15, 20 years old now.
Very good.
It is hinted that the main character, Motoko, kind of puts her brain in the internet, and it changes her fundamentally because she all of a sudden is everywhere, nowhere. She loses her sense of self but gains a sense of self. It plays with a lot of cool stuff. So the fact that you're taking a character who was built and introduced to us with a physical hard body, and going to the point where they're just like, yeah, we don't need these things, let's just go.
Yeah.
I love it. That's so cool.
Yeah. And then, Bradley, doesn't want that to happen. So that's the cat and mouse of it all. Bradley's got to hunt him down and finally destroy him before he can escape into this cyber Burpo land, this heaven, basically.
Oh, I love it. And I loved, I don't want to spoil anything, but I love the QR code, by the way. I saw it. I couldn't help myself. Nicely done, sir. That was it. For the folks out there watching this, go get the book. You'll find a QR code. Wonderful. What can you tell us about him? What is Burpo?
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, what is his function? But what the hell is he?
Yeah. Good question. So the Legend of Burpo kind of plays a lot more into issue 2, so we find out more about it. But it's basically it's like a Furby, like a child's toy.
Yeah.
That Bradley got, when he was a kid, and he kind of used this Burpo toy to kind of test out his theories on AI. So it was kind of like his first experimentation with AI. So he created this kind of very rudimentary thing out of his toy, and it kind of became like his Igor to his Dr. Frankenstein later on. So like the name Burpo, I don't know, I used to work at Indigo.
Okay.
And when I was like shelving books all the time, and there was one author that wrote like a Christian book, like Heaven is for Real or something. His name was Todd Burpo. That name just always stuck with me. I thought it was funny, so I wanted to use it. So that's kind of the genesis of Burpo, just a funny last name.
I love it, and I do like that Burpo looks. I think he's, for the illustrations I've seen, he's colored pink, right?
Yeah,
that's sort of he's pink, but he's like almost like a little gremlin, or he looks like Gizmo, where he's got like the big ears, sort of stubby limbs. I think he's a little psychotic, maybe, because from the first issue, I do very distinctly remember him holding a kitchen knife like a sword. Wild little creature. Yeah,
he's going to be the mascot kind of for the Kickstarter.
Oh, I love it.
I got Otávio doing like a lot of little illustrations of him to go along with each section of the Kickstarter. So yeah, that'll be fun.
That is so cute.
Yeah.
I'm just fascinated that you found the name Burpo. It's just a person's name. Because I thought, burp, it's like, okay, cool, Burpo. It's like a little kid's toy. Funny burp joke.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Funny how these things come together. How these little things take seed in your mind and become something totally different.
Exactly. So for the folks out there who are listening to this who may want to, how can they get issue 1 currently?
Issue 1 is on my Gumroad. So just go to Twitter. Go to my Twitter at StupidMatt. And I think it's the pinned tweet right there. If you got issues with Gumroad, because they're being kind of jerks a few months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you don't remember that? Oh, that was weird. No,
no.
Do this, but yeah.
The
owner of Gumroad kind of went on some weird Twitter. I can't even remember, but he's been, I don't know, dunking on people. Just being a kind of a big baby on Twitter because somebody criticized him, and then he was, I can't remember the context, but Anyways, maybe I'll send it to you after.
Okay, he was
Anyway,
having a bad time.
he was having a bad time, and he kind of had
Okay.
a Twitter rant, and people weren't so cool with. Oh, it started with like NFTs or something, and they were kind of non-committal to saying they'd never do NFTs, and then from there, the guy who owned Gumroad got very defensive, and he was like, people are posting comments being like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm never using Gumroad again. And then he'd kind of like go into the Gumroad database and look up their like customer information and be like, oh, but actually you have used Gumroad on this date or whatever. So it was just really weird. Anyways, don't need to include that.
No, no, definitely not. But that is weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
But if you want ID-10T Error 1, you can get it on the Kickstarter. So yeah, you can buy a digital version of it along with issue 2, or you can just buy issue 1 if you want. You can also buy the print version of issue 1 first time. Yeah, so
Definitely. I have a special place. Again, it mirrored, but I have a special place on my shelf for every comic from a comic creator I've interviewed.
Yeah. Cool. That's nice.
So yeah, so when folks like yourself last time tell me it's only digital, a little bit it's like, oh, okay, like I get it, it's easier, you can get it out there. It means you can have a lower budget on your Kickstarter. But I do want to have ID-10T Error up there and among the ones from where I've interviewed. So I look forward to it.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to print it. Yeah, my heart was just a tiny bit broken when I just did a digital version of it. But like I said, it was just too many unknowns at that time. But I'm super excited to be doing a print version of it, and working with a really, really awesome printer in Toronto that so many people have recommended to me. Yep. Lots of people, lots of comic creators in the Toronto community go to these people. So, yeah. So
if you're
smooth sailing.
Okay. If you're comfortable, please do share a name.
Like their name is Copywell. Based out in Vaughan. I see you have Commander Rao in the background.
Right Rao there.
Is printed there, and it looks beautiful. So I'm looking forward to getting a beautiful copy of my comic printed soon.
Awesome. Yeah, I will say there's been a few people that I've interviewed that have done them. Among them, Commander Rao there. Good quality. I appreciate they probably have options where you can pick heavier papers and gloss and regular finish and stuff, but from all the books I've seen come out of them, it looks well. It feels good, which is always nice. That's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Question for you. Maybe you're not the best person to ask about it because of how it works, but Otávio, your artist or your illustrator, other than the fact that the sizing is a little different, did they share any concerns about going from a digital medium into a print medium? I appreciate you had the pages, you showed them earlier, so it shouldn't, I don't imagine it'd be a big issue, but was there any concern when they were like, oh, if we're doing print, I have to change my work?
No, like in terms of concern, I think he was relieved to be going digital. Like when it's first started, I asked him like, do you want to do this book digitally, or do you want to like do, pencil and ink to draw this? He's like, no, I want to do digital. Like if I had my, whatever is Syntec, if I had that, I would have been doing comics a long, long time ago. It's so much easier, so much more convenient. So yeah, he's able to do a lot more work now, comic work, since he's gone digital. So
cool.
I was like, yeah, okay, cool. It's nice to have the physical pages that you can kind of frame or put up, but I prefer him to be more comfortable in whatever medium he's on, whatever it's gonna be easier for him, get it out faster. So yeah, he was pretty game to go digital for drawing.
Awesome. Okay, so he primarily then works digitally. Obviously, we're gonna get print copies of it, but it's good to hear that it going from a pure digital release to a physical release didn't bother me. Just whatever we can do it. Cool. That's always good to hear. And Awesome. Yeah. Then, truth be told, Matt, yeah, I think you've gone through my gambit. As always, same last two questions. So, what is it that you're reading right now, Matt?
Nothing. I'm kind of going through my stack of comics that I'm very far behind. So, I got Daredevil to read, the Chip Zdarsky run. So,
good run.
Yeah, I got to go through that. Got some Spider-Man issues. I got a pile of graphic novels just kind of sitting on my desk right there. So I've got, I think, 5 volumes of those big BPRD hardcovers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Depending when this gets released, the folks out there, it was just Comic-Con this weekend. I went to Comic-Con, had a good time. BPRD, so you're a fan of Hellboy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then you will definitely appreciate this. I got one of my grails. Bear with me.
Okay.
I managed to pick Hellboy #1 up, so nice. Very happy.
Yeah. How much did that cost? What? You can cut this out if you don't want to say.
I don't mind. $100. Yeah, it was $100.
Yeah.
And it was the funniest thing because I was going through all their, I don't even know the name of the store. I think they're based out of Quebec. I was going through all the Hellboy stuff just for fun, right? And I was seeing like Hellboy in Hell, Shane Coffin and others, like all that kind of stuff. The later stuff. I saw Lil Hellboy, Junior Hellboy, and then just as at the very back of all of the comics, I saw the second issue of Seed of Destruction, and I was like, okay, but what's the chances? So I sort of backpedaled one comic because I went through quickly, and there it was, and I was just like, mine. So that was kind of an impulse buy. But that's so cool. So I'm assuming you've read Hellboy, like the Hellboy series, and now you're moving on to BPRD?
Yeah. So I've been reading Hellboy, I don't know, pretty much since I started reading comics. So
cool.
Usually, I kind of, that's the only thing I'll like triple dip on. Like I'll get the single issues, and I'll sometimes get a trade paperback. And then they came out with like those big, gorgeous hardcovers that are super huge. So
they're like velvety, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, the library ones? Oh my god.
Yeah, Hellboy library editions. Yeah. So I have gone through like Plague of Frogs for BPRD, and I'm on Hell on Earth. So getting through all that.
Okay, I happen to have Plague of Frogs on my shelf. Very cool.
Yeah, you talk about Grail comics, and it was funny, like to fund the kind of initial pages and stuff for ID-10T Error 2, I had to sell like a bunch of my very valuable comics. It's fine. I get it. You're making your own comic. Yeah. You can maybe pick these up later, whatever, they exist. Yeah, but I had no idea. Like I had these Spawn back issues that I had no idea. They were kind of like a little mini gold mine. Like all the early stuff when he was printing 500,000 of Spawn #1, those aren't really worth anything. But later on in the early 2000s, like I don't know, it became a lot less popular. So instead of 100,000 prints, they were doing like maybe 20,000 or whatever, these Spawn issues. And now the popularity is kind of risen again. So these really, really low print runs have become very valuable. There's like the Gunslinger Spawn. I have the first appearance of that, which I was like, I looked on eBay how much it was going for, and I was like, whoa, it's going for
wow,
$1,000. So so sold some of those. Kind of broke my heart, but had to do it for the greater good.
One, I am sorry that you had to sell them. I appreciate why you did it. Like I get it. It sucks though, but like get it. I'm wondering, for me, because I'm very much a physical copy person, and from the sounds of it, you're as well. Do you think getting the physical print copy of issue 1 and issue 2 in your hand will kind of make it okay or whatever, make it be like, oh, this is why I did this? Or have you already had that moment with the digital release and you're like, that's my book?
Yeah, I think with the digital release already, yeah, I kind of had that feeling. I think I'll have it even more when I see the print version of it. Yeah. I've already made peace with selling some of my comics. Like, I still got plenty. I'm not selling all of them. But, yeah, I've made my peace with it. You know, I'm okay.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Like, being living in Toronto, I have a number of friends who collect comics, and obviously people move, and sometimes with collectors like ourselves, when you have a lot of comics that take up a lot of space, maybe you don't have the space in your new place, so you have to kind of downsize.
Yeah, you gotta do a purge every once in a while.
Yeah, and it's always like, I am sorry as someone who loves my comics, but at the same time, I get it. And like, there are comics I have even where I'm like, you know what, if I gave this to somebody else, I'd be totally okay with that. Like, as long as someone's enjoying it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like, you know, do I really need my Jeff Johns Aquaman run from the New 52? Did I enjoy it that much? Nah. I'll make something, give it to somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good run, cool covers. Definitely the first couple ones, very cool. But yeah, it's like, I can get the graphic novels, couple bucks, no problem.
Yeah.
So you know what, I do want to ask though, because like you said, this very organically, this world has expanded for ID-10T Error. Is it going to be 3, 4, 5 issues? Do you have like here's the whole story, or is it just, it's gonna grow as it grows and we're gonna see how far it goes?
Yeah, I kind of have a very rough idea of the whole story. So issue 2 is not self-contained. It's kind of part 1 of a bigger, like the second chapter, I guess. So
okay,
there'll be an issue 3 that'll kind of complete this part of the story. And from there, yeah, the mission statement's always been like, go bigger and weirder with it. So, yeah, that's at least one more story will come after this. When I first started thinking about doing more, I kind of had the idea of like, there's going to be 5 stories. It's kind of like maybe rethought that a little bit. Maybe I'll just condense it. But yeah, it's going to be bigger and weirder after this chapter is done. The next one, which I'm pretty positive we'll be doing, it'll be much bigger and weirder, more sci-fi, more just craziness.
Good.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear it. I hope, I don't know, maybe the robot AI can, I don't know, take over Mechagodzilla to super one-up it or something crazy.
You're on the right track.
Sweet. Okay. Because definitely your way of telling stories, your way of looking at characters, especially with Bradley and how like frizzed out and weird he can be, it's highly enjoyable. Almost Looney Tunes-esque, but like I said, more horror, more intense. Yeah, I look forward to whatever it is that you run with and make this into. So for today, my last question, as always, Matt, what do you want people to know?
I think that's it. Just go to my Kickstarter. I got a big goal. I got to raise a lot of money. So go and back it, please. I want to make this book. Yeah. So lots of options, of prizes, not prizes, tiers, rewards. You know, very affordable stuff, some stuff that's a little more fancy, and yeah, I really hope you'll back it and give this book a shot.
Beautiful. Well, I like to hear it. There are links down below, as always, for everything for your Gumroad, so people can get issue 1 now if they want. I will put links to the Kickstarter for April 19th. Can, as of recording this, are we able to do that notify me now thing, where when it comes out we can get the email, or is that set up yet?
That's not set up yet, but very soon that'll be coming out. Hopefully within, so we're in the middle of March, so I'm hoping to get that kind of out there beginning of April 1st-ish, something around there. I'm working on a video too right now, which I'm pretty excited about.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm gonna flex my acting muscles a little bit for the first time in years. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that too.
I love it. Well, by the time this is edited and out there, there will be links for all that down below. I love it. So yeah, absolutely, Matt. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show, talk with me about your new issue of ID-10T Error, and yeah, it was been a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. And folks out there in YouTube land, links down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought of Matt and ID-10T Error, and we'll see you next time.
Golden age to present, digest to oversize. Never miss new comic day. Yeah, no surprise. So where's my no prize? Check the letter columns. Can't find issue 2? Yeah. Collector problems, cliffhangers, mysteries. You need answers. When did Batman become Green Lantern? I get it. True believer, not lying. Always up for an awesome summer crossover.